What's up, everyone? My name is Rolonsky Duro, and I am a mental health advocate in school right now to become a therapist. I am aiming to bridge the gap between mental health and men by helping them develop language to address their issues. In this podcast, I review popular books that many people say had and still made a significant difference in their lives. In this episode, I will give you a quick brief about the book and then share my insights and how to apply this information in practical ways. So the book I'm doing today is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. So real quick, as you guys see, I'm using headphones. Reason is, and I probably sound different, is because, bro, when you're trying to use a mic to hook up to computer and you start getting all this technical gadget stuff, things start to get ridiculous. If you're just listening to this, because I probably put this audio form right now, I was just a video, but I had these whole Hollyland headphones, and they work great with my phone, but they didn't work great with the laptop for whatever reason. There was a lot of reverb and stuff that I couldn't figure out, a lot of echo, and so sometimes you do have to keep it simple and keep it basic. And I got some regular earpods for about $20. The mic is fantastic, fantastic. Um, Easier to use. Yeah, I gotta hold up the mic to be able to talk into it, but I'd rather do that instead of fight with some headphones. But they're great though. I'm still gonna use them for different purpose. But yeah, that's why I probably sound different. Hopefully, it was worth making the switch over. A better listening experience. All right, so the book I said we're looking at is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I read this book back, I believe, in 2023. 2023 or the beginning of 2024. I do believe it was 2023. Amazing book. Yeah, it was 2023. Um, Amazing book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Brought a lot of value to me and kind of opened up my perspective. Well, a lot, not kind of. It did. So, real quick, about the author in brief context, Morgan Housel is an American writer and speaker who focuses on investing, behavioral finance, and the psychology behind financial decisions. He's a partner at Collaborative Fund, a venture capital firm that backs mission driven companies. Before that, he was a columnist at the Motley Fool. Love that page. And the Wall Street Journal, where he spent years writing about how history, risk, and human behavior shape markets and personal finance. Quick summary about the book. Over time, quick summary about how the book came about. Over time, he noticed most finance books focused on math, strategy, and products. But in real life, outcomes are dominated by psychology, i.e., emotions, habits, upbringing, luck, fear, and greed. His belief that ordinary readers needed a behavioral manual for money more, he believed that ordinary sorry, he believed that ordinary readers needed a behavior manual for money more than another technical investing guide. All right. So that's basically the background about this book. And just tell you a little bit more about this book. I love this book because it was a different, it wasn't telling us necessarily how to advance. It was telling us about why we do the things we do with money. So less about a how to and more of a why and because type of book, which was really good because it really opened insights. So real quick, I'm gonna go through 5 insights that I got from the book. First one is that no one is crazy because of their perspective on money. Nobody is crazy. People's money choices make sense when you understand their background, experiences, and fears. We all grew up in different financial circumstances and philosophies. So this first point blew my mind when I blew my mind when this insight came to me, because everybody has their own opinion on how they think they should be with money, how others should be with money, or what money like what you should do with money. But when it boils down, the truth is that we do what we do with our money is really based on how our relationship with it growing up. So if you grew up, um, it doesn't matter. I'm not going into all the different details, but depending how your parents or the people around you who were major influences in your life, how they dealt with money, even if they didn't show you money, told you what they're doing with it, the things that they did, their behaviors were tied into money. and whatever they did and their beliefs, their own personal beliefs ties into beliefs. So a lot of times, how their financial situation was probably is how your financial situation is going to be, because you're going to repeat those same behavior, those learned behaviors, unless if you consciously decide to do something different. And the majority of the time, people don't. You usually do what you usually do what you see, like, monkey see, monkey do. And yeah, people are not crazy. It has nothing to do with this person is dumb or this person an idiot. It has everything to do with the fact that this is what you saw. This is how other people behave that you spent the majority of your time with, how they spoke about money or how they dealt with money or the certain behaviors that were tied to money. You're going to do the same exact thing. For example, real quick story, I was at 7-Eleven about like 2 days ago, and I saw a little girl. She could have been older than 15 years old. There was a other younger woman. She probably was 18 plus. And she was showing this girl in a 7-Eleven how to do a scratch card. And I was baffled. I was baffled. I'm sitting there like, bro, this girl can't even be 15 years old. And this other woman here is showing her how to do a scratch card. And I thought to myself, I don't even know how to do a scratch card. And I've never seen anybody in my family doing either. And not to say like I'm not knocking scratch. I do have my own opinions when it comes to gambling and stuff. But the truth is that I don't know how to do that. And I never saw nobody in my family do that. And so it's not something that I grew up knowing how to do. But I really sat down there and thought to myself, like, this kid is going to learn how to do scratch cards, which is a behavior that is tied to money, right? Even though a scratch card is probably $10, probably $20 at most. I don't really know. Probably something around that. It's just the fact that she's learning to gamble early on, right? And that is a perspective that she's going to have. They might as well spend a little money to try to make it big, even though statistically, you have a better chance to be struck by lightning, but people still gamble, just because of the thought of making some type of money. And that speaks to the perspective. Do I think it's nuts? Yes, but is it actually nuts? No, it's just what you were taught. And the point of me telling that story is the fact that this is a learned behavior that she has. So I'm pretty sure it has less to do about the money with her. If she grows up, she ends up doing it's going to be less about the money, more about the behavior that she learned, that is tied to money. As her first insight. Second insight is I got from the book is luck and risk are cousins. Luck and risk. Oh, very good. So basically, how it kind of explained it is that luck and risk are two sides of the same coin. There's a really fine line in between luck and risk. People who hit it big, there are a lot of luck tied into that. And the only difference between somebody who hit it big and somebody who failed miserably was just luck. It was luck. And then after that, if they didn't make it big and they lost big, there was risk, right? So right here is what I wrote. You cannot have one without the other because they are two sides of the same coin. It said that huge financial outcomes, good or bad, good and bad, are often driven by luck and randomness. Be humble about your successes and compassionate about others' failures. That's big right there. You see, because we really believe that we played a bigger role. We play a bigger role than in our successes and failures than we actually do. And the truth of the matter is that we cannot control external circumstances. For example, like the 2008 house, the mortgage, 2008 real estate crisis. There are a lot of people today, I kid you not, who really changed their lives, their financial lives, because they ended up buying that cheap real estate and getting into the market when it was really cheap. And then now they either have a couple of homes or that they bought very cheap, and they're renting out, doing this, and that, right? And like they're preaching to us, like, oh my gosh, so easy. You could do this, like this, like that. This is how you do it. Like, come on, you got to work for it. Like this ain't luck, that I got this. I worked hard. And don't get it wrong, I'm not bashing them or saying that, there wasn't no work that was put in, because at the end of the day, even if something's cheap or not, they still took on a risk. But the truth of the matter is that circumstances are different. And based on the circumstance, it gave them a great opportunity. Now, like it still takes a person with a certain type of mind, to pursue something like that. But the circumstances were ripe. The circumstances were good for that. And today, trying to preach that to us in today's economy, it's not the same. The real estate market is not what it was before. It isn't. And that's why you got to really be humble about your successes, because more likely than not, there is probably somebody out there who is just as capable, or not more capable than you are, but just hasn't had the opportunity. So we gotta humble up. And the same thing when it comes to failures, because the person failures could have been yours just as easily if you didn't have the right circumstances. And not to say all the circumstances need to be perfect all the time, but if enough right things fall in line and you're ready for those right things, things will work well. Even if you're the right person, if the right things don't happen, external circumstances could really beat you down, right? And notice what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the person is a failure. I'm not saying that the person failed. I'm saying that the things, the external environment around them could be the reason why they failed. They could keep trying and keep trying to win until they finally get some, keep trying until things line up, or line up just well enough for them to be able to win, but yeah. But yeah, also the significant events either lead to great financial gain or loss. So, that's something else really important. Significant events. So when it comes to huge financial outcomes, from what I've learned, what I read in this book, and also what I've learned personally, is that a lot of people make a lot of their wealth, or or either that financial gain or loss that really changes their life in a certain amount of time. It was like usually in a shorter amount of time. Like for example, like Warren Buffett has always been an investor, but he built more than 50% of his net worth past a older age, right? It's like that compound just kicked in, and like he hit it big. It's the same thing with you can think of anybody else who you think is an overnight success. It could be from rappers, NFL players, athletes, singers, whatever it is. They just blow up overnight, and now it's almost like they're everywhere. But the truth of the matter is that they've been around for a while. They've been working on their craft. They've been doing their thing. They just hadn't hit it big yet for whatever reason. But now an opportunity came around, and boom, it put them it put them in the limelight. And now they're getting these offers. They're getting these deals. They're striking it big. The market probably turned up for them. Whatever, an investor, the market probably is doing really well, and now all of a sudden, overnight, right? It's not really overnight, but overnight they become a huge success. But if you look beforehand, they had been working, they have been doing the thing, and they have been becoming a person, becoming a person that those things could happen for. So when and like I mentioned before in the previous like I mentioned before, when the circumstances are right, things fall into place. Things fall into place, right? So there are other forces at there are other powers at force that help them, that helped them that help them. Yeah, there are other powers at force is basically the point I'm making here. And so it's not all due to because we're so great or we're so bad. Definitely outside forces that we cannot control. We definitely got to be humble and be. We have to know that. We have to know that. Also, very important for a person that might be beating themselves up too much, thinking that they're not good enough. That's not the case. It's really not the case. Sometimes everybody is not gifted the same opportunities or have the same circumstances, even though you're inputting the same things. All right, third insight I have is saving and frugality. Ooh, sheesh. You see, now this is where things start to get a little bit more tight, because now we're talking about saving, right? And this book talked about having a high saving rate. Like having a high saving rate is a huge determining factor on if you are, going to get to financial freedom. And basically, a saving rate is the percentage of your income you keep, just in general. Like you could calculate it over the year, over the month, over the week, over every check. Let's see what's the percentage of your check you keep. The higher your saving rate, the better it is for you, because the more you save, the more you could invest. The more you invest, the more compound interest is going to work in your favor. Compound interest is amazing. I'm gonna get me, and trust me, I'm in on some of that. I'm getting me some. I don't care what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I'm putting some money in the compound. Period. I'm 25, I'm about to be 26 in less than a week. I'm gonna make some of this money. All right. So having a high savings rate and living below your means are more powerful than fancy strategies. Oh, come on. Simplicity wins. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I love finance. I love personal finance. I love numbers. I love business. And I have read some books on complex investing and how to go about things, reading and timing the market, all that good stuff. I was into like stock trading and day trading, all that good stuff. I stopped all of that because I realized, one, I don't want to put that type of time into that. It's not worth it. And then two, it's not even worth it. It's not worth it because there are literally billion-dollar companies that are trying to predict the market and they suck at it. So what the heck am I gonna do? What the heck was I doing at the age of 19 years old with a laptop, with barely any hours? I got school and football on my back. I'm over here trying to trade some money, make some money. It wasn't worth it. The amount of energy and time I was spending could have had been better spent going to work a job, save the money and invest it instead of trying to learn how to day trade and losing all that money. I would have had more money today, right? But the point I'm trying to get to is these fancy strategies are not is not what makes you. Like being simple. Ooh, great example right here. So playing football, uh, you know, when I was playing football, especially when I was in high school, I'm watching all the highlights of all these college players and NFL players and doing all these fancy. I played defensive end, and these college players, they're doing all these fancy moves, spin moves, club rip. Von Miller with that ghost arm, all that good stuff. This and that, and you had different players that did crazy things, especially Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was losing his mind. That boy was doing everything on that field. That boy was doing everything. But the thing is that they were doing their thing, right? When as players we're looking at these highlights and we see like 10 different moves. But in the truth and reality, if you watch their game, the majority of their game, they won on simple things. Yeah, they had one or two tricks in the bag, but they weren't doing new things all the time. They kept it very simple. They were fast off the ball. They used their hands. They got penetration. They pushed the O lineman back. And then once in a while, they might bust a move out if you were to watch their overall game, and they were very, very successful. In the same way, it wasn't all these fancy moves and fancy strategies to win. In the same way, it started to click with me later in my career that these moves didn't matter. It really didn't matter. What mattered more was being good at the fundamentals, being good at the getting off the ball fast, staying low, getting penetration. All these basic things matter much more than you trying to do all these fancy moves. And the same thing applies to money. Focus on the fundamentals. Save a lot, save as much as you can, and invest as much as you can. Live below your means. These are things you could control. Your saving rate, you control. How much your expenses are, you control to a certain extent, right? And what I mean is that you could go get a Toyota and a Honda. You don't need a Benz or a Audi. You don't need that. You don't need a Genesis. You could choose. Like you don't need to go buy the most expensive clothes. You could shop off Amazon, Publix, like Amazon, Costco, Walmart. Cheaper clothes, Old Navy. You could get cheaper clothes. Like these are certain things you can control. You don't have to go live in a sky rise. You go live in a regular apartment. It hasn't be luxury. You could really save money. So these are things you could control. And you focusing on these simple things are much more powerful than you trying to find all these fancy strategies to triple or double or 10 times your income. Is there a space for that? A different type of thing? But I'm never going to bring that up. That doesn't even matter. For this case, it's really talking about personal. I'm talking about personal finance here. And for personal finance, keep it simple. Simple, dimple, wimple, that would all say. But yeah, keep it simple. That's what matters. Freedom and flexibility are the real goals of money, not just status items. And that's the thing. Why are you doing this? You're doing it because you want financial freedom. Financial freedom, in my definition, means that I'm not working because I have to. If I want to stay in bed, I can stay in bed. Um, because I don't need to go make the money. I have margin, I have space, I have flexibility. If I don't like the job I'm working, I want to do something else. I have space. I could leave my job and go do something else, whether I'm making more or less. Or either if I wanted to go pursue something else and it means I'm not bringing in the income for a certain amount of time, I could do that. Right. So that's what really matters the most to me, that freedom and flexibility, especially at a young age, because I'm realizing that, yeah, I really do appreciate my time and I really would like to spend my time doing things that I like to do. Right. But that's gonna come with time. That's definitely gonna be my future, but it's gonna be with time. But I'm getting there with simple methods, saving as much as I can, investing as much as I can, living below my means. If I'm staying away from the extra, not eating out all the time, cooking at home, doing a lot of basic things. Keep it simple, stupid. Love it. Kiss. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Right. So some examples of status items that people spend too much money on. First is a house. You don't need $1 million house. You don't need a $500,000 house. You can start off with a modest home. Me and my wife, we started off with a modest home. We bought a house for 350K. It was even higher than I wanted to spend, but I understand. But my wife had certain things that she required in the home. I had certain things I required in the home. The thing I required the most was the price. Her, she required more, the aesthetic, how it looked. I cared about the price and the location. She cared more about, the more intricate details. So we worked great together as a team. But yeah, we found something. So you don't have to get a house that's expensive. It doesn't have to be your dream house. You're looking for something that's sustainable. And I was looking for something I could raise a family in. 3 bedroom house, 2 bathrooms, 1,300 square feet. It's great. It's more than what I've ever had growing up. So I'm happy. I don't need to be better than the next person. I'm happy what I have. It's really nice, really good. Great neighborhood, great people. I love where I'm at. The lawn ain't too big. Don't take me too long to cut the grass either. But I have a nice backyard, front yard. It's good. Next thing people spend too much money on are cars. Oh my God. Do you know you don't have to buy a car brand new? You don't have to buy a car brand new. The cars are built so well today that you could drive them up to 100, 200, 300 thousand miles and they are still running and kicking. Yeah, you can have some repairs to do, but it don't have to be a brand new car. That's really just the ego thing. And honestly, it's a marketing thing. These companies are making new cars every year and telling us we need to buy them like it's the next big thing. It's not that serious. I'll be honest though. These cars with the adaptable cruise control, oh, baby, them things are nice. Also, them Teslas that drive themselves. Yeah, I need to get on some of that action. The reason is I just don't like to drive anymore. I'm tired. I drove from Miami to Arkansas back into for college multiple times. I'm tired when it comes to driving. So I'm definitely I'm up for cars driving themselves. I'm because I don't want to do the driving no more. Do you feel me? But other than that, you could still get that in a cheaper model. You could still get it in a cheaper model. For example, me and my wife, we just bought a Hyundai Tucson 2025. Got it for 23K or 24, about 23K, almost 24K. Great car, adaptable with driving, steering and stuff, all that good stuff. Nice size SUV. It's my wife's mom car. Beautiful car. Great digital screen, looks very nice. Why it's a beautiful car. It is, but for 23K, you don't have to go spend 40K. And then again, it's a certified pre-used, meaning what? It's not technically brand new. It did come with 4,600 miles on it, so it was barely any miles. It was a loaner car, the company used when people came and got brought their own cars in to get fixed. They would give them that car. So yeah, our car was technically brand new, but it shaved off us getting a used car shaved off so much of that. It shaved off so much of that depreciation that we didn't have to bear. Thank God, and we got it at such an amazing discount, and it still has everything that she likes and I like I said, I like the price. She likes how it looks. She loves the digital screen. She loves that stuff. I love the adaptable driving. So it's like it works great. Next thing people spend a lot of money on is clothes. Bro, one thing I learned is that because your thing is expensive doesn't mean you know how to put it on. It does not mean you know how to put it on. A lot of people dress great. Back in Miami, bro, when I tell you these boys, man, they had all type of designers on, didn't know how to put it on right. It was crazy, crazy work. God, this designer, I don't even know how to dress right. Made absolutely no sense. Wow, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying I was necessarily Mr. Dripped out or I knew how to put everything together, but I could put something a little decent together. I didn't really care that much about swag. But I could put something decent together. I put something on decent together. But the point is that you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money on clothes. Look, since this is my podcast, I'm gonna tell you what I think and what I do. I believe in getting good quality clothes. Not having a lot, but having a good, buying good quality clothes that'll last anywhere for minimum at least 2 years. Good quality. Feels good on your body. It'll last when you wash it, doesn't the colors don't fade out. Good material, feels good on your skin, and you look good in it. And you get different colors. You get different colors. So you probably get like a couple of different color pair of jeans, some cargo pants, some shorts, whatever it is. Keep it simple. Some nice colors. You get some colored shirts, maybe some graphic tees, or you keep it simple, some washed um, shirts or whatever, this and that, whatever it is. You keep it simple, and you get a couple of pair of shoes, a couple. I'm talking about five, maybe eight, 10. I don't know, but don't spend crazy money on it. And then you switch that up every once in a while. You could really style that clothes. It doesn't have to be a new outfit for every single thing that you're doing, bro. I've been on so many vacations. I haven't bought no new clothes yet. I just use what I would just wear what I have. I might buy some clothes, new clothes here and there, but I'm not going crazy. Like, bro, it's not worth it. And electronics, ugh, electronics will get me. They'll get me bad because I love me some good electronics. But I know that, and I also know that I don't have to buy the biggest, baddest, best things. Like for example, I bought this. This is an iPhone 13. I bought this iPhone. My wife bought it for me, for Christmas back in 2024. 2024. I bought an iPhone 13 2024. I believe the 15 was already out, or the 16. It's because I know I didn't need it. I just needed a new phone because my other one was beat up, tore up from the flow up. I just know I needed something new. Doesn't mean I have to go get the newest thing. I traded in my own phone. I traded in my old phone, got this, picked this up, and it was only like what, $600, $500, if even. You don't have to go get the newest thing. It doesn't make a difference. And truth of the matter is, people who have iPhones don't even know how to use it to its capacity. It's really no point. It's really just a thing. It's just a ego thing, boosting thing. You don't need it. You really don't. Electronics, and I love electronics, but I still live it myself. And lifestyle choices, meaning that where restaurants you're eating at, how you living, how many trips are you going on per year, how much money. It's just your lifestyle. Well, how expensive your lifestyle? Does it have to be that expensive? Are you doing it? Well, I'll say this: you should really check yourself and ask yourself, are you doing these things to impress others or to impress yourself? Is it for you or for others? Right? And a lot of people be like, no, it's for me, it's for me. But let's be honest. If nobody else saw you going on these trips, if you weren't posting these online, these pictures online, if you weren't bragging to it about your friends and stuff, would you still be doing them? Would you still be doing them? It's a great question. Would you still be doing it? I don't know. I don't know, but it's a good question to ask. All right, insight four, money and happiness. All right, so money can buy control over your time and reduce stress, which does increase happiness. But chasing status and comparison quickly destroys that benefit. All right, so this thing right here, money and happiness. So happiness, what I learned, I heard is great. It was a study that I learned. People have done a lot of research when it comes to happiness because it's very important. And they found that having more money, like good fortune, and I actually just read this in a book about like yesterday. A lot of research is out and it shows that your happiness is not tied to the amount of good fortune that you have or your circumstances in life. There are people who are in terrible circumstances, have cancer, lost loved ones, lost a job, this and that. And yeah, their happiness might dip for a while, but sooner than later, their happiness is going to go back to the level it was at because we all have to have a baseline of happiness. There's a word for it, but I'm going to say baseline. We all have a baseline of happiness, regardless of how much money we have, how much good fortune we have, how good we're doing, how bad we're doing. And happiness might go up and might go down, but it goes back to a baseline. So, really, your happiness is really dependent upon you. I don't know all the intricate details of that, but what I do know is it is an internal thing, not an external. External things are not going to fix your happiness. It is an internal issue. It is an internal thing. But money can buy your time back and can reduce your stress. That is true. But it can't necessarily make you happy. It could increase your happiness for a short amount of time, like, oh, I don't have to worry about this, or oh, I could buy that, or you buy this thing that makes you feel good for a short amount of time. But that's not gonna give you longevity. That's not gonna give you lasting happiness. Lasting happiness comes within. It comes with contentment, a lot of different things. But I ain't going too much into that. But yes, it's an internal thing. But yeah, chasing status and comparison quickly destroys that benefit. So are you comparing yourself to the next person? Do you what is your mindset like? Like what do you why are you doing the things that you do? Right? Like why do you want to make this money? Why do you want this money? What is it that you're looking for? Like me, for example, I don't want money because I want to stop working. Or either I want money because I want to flex stuff. I want money so that I could cover my expenses, take care of my family, and then do the things I really like to do. Like, for example, this podcast and be able to do this, lecture, teach, all this stuff. I'd like to do the things that I'm doing. Can I get paid for it? Yes, it would be even better. So now, and I'm doing this for free. I'm not getting paid to do this, and I enjoy doing it. Right. So I want to do more of the things that I like to do. Right. I want to be able to spend more time with my family and friends. If I have money, I could do that. And then I could also spend it on them. Right. And also I could help others, right, with the money that I have in a lot of different ways. Right. So what do you want to do with the money? But the thing is that if you're chasing status, there's never enough. If you're comparing yourself to the next person, somebody always has something better, bigger, better, faster, stronger than you do. So comparing yourself is is like there's no end to it. You can't keep moving the goalpost. Can't keep moving the goalpost because it never stops. You have to find a point to where you're content. And the book did talk about that as well too, being learning how to be content. Like me, I'm content now. I'm happy. I'm not satisfied. Like I'm not satisfied. I'm not done. I'm still ambitious, but I am content with where I like I'm genuinely happy where I'm at. When I was in an apartment, I was happy when I was in an apartment. When I was in college, with four roommates or six roommates, I was happy where I was at. When I was living with my grandmother back in high school and stuff, I was happy, right? Like my baseline was happy. Yeah, certain things happen, this and that. But the point I'm making is that I'm happy with my present day life. Yeah, there's things that I do want to change to get better or whatever, but I'm overall happy. Next point is a sure way to never be happy with your circumstance is to continuously move the goalpost. Like I mentioned before, I personally do not have a goalpost set of yet. And that's one thing too. So you need to figure out where you want to set your goalpost and set it there. Like for example, a real quick example is like I need $3 million to be able to live comfortably because I know if I get a 10% return on $3 million, that's $300 per year and money's going to keep compounding. I could live off 300,000 a year, and I'd be good for life. That would be my money. Money keep growing. It'll outgrow inflation. Do things this and that, and be good. Or your goalpost could be either like I don't know, like whatever it is, whatever would make you content. Find that goalpost, set it, and don't freaking move it. Leave it where it's at. You leave it where it's at. As of yet, I really haven't set my goalpost. I need to do that. I need to do that actually, but I haven't done it yet. But I'm pretty sure my goalpost is gonna be less. It's gonna have a financial piece to it, but it's definitely gonna be more so. Actually, I don't know yet. I think it's a financial goalpost. Really, I believe that the book was talking about. But yeah, what is your financial goalpost? Like, how much do you need to make? How much do you need to accumulate to be able for you to be good with not making anymore? How does that look like for you? How are you going to get there? Right. All right. And the fifth and last insight, long term thinking. So, compounding works only if you can stay invested. Avoid behavior that knocks you out of the game, like over leverage, panic selling, and lifestyle creep. Ooh, so good. So, like I mentioned before, compound interest is amazing. I believe, like Warren Buffett says, like the ninth wonder of the world, or somebody said it. It's like the ninth wonder of the world, or something like that, right? But yeah, it's crazy how compound works. It's like take the number two and let's just keep square rooting it, right? So two times two is four. And then after you times it times two again, four times two is eight, and then eight times two is 16. 16 times two is 32. 32 times two, 32. 32 times two is 64. 64 times two is let's do the math. 132? 64. 128. 128 times 2 blah, blah, blah. But you see how that it went from 2 and it gets so big. But the thing is when you get to the bigger numbers, when you get to a certain point, that compound effect turns to like it starts taking bigger leaps every single time it goes up. Right? Do you see it like the rate like the ratio is ridiculous. It raises exponentially. And that's the same thing with money over time. And one big issue that people have, they think they win by trying to guess the market. No, You win by just staying invested. That means putting money in there and forgetting it exists until retirement. And don't touch it, don't look at it. I don't care what's happening to the markets, what's going on, this and that. It's a surefire way. That is the number one way to win in the market. Just staying invested. It is proven over time. Statistically, that is the best way. Put the money in and don't touch it. It's not where you invest it. It's not how you invest in it. It's just keeping the money. The people who 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 have their retirement set up well are the people who just put the money in and invested it. At a certain point, it doesn't matter if it's a 401k, a Roth IRA, a regular Roth, a 401k match, a 403b. It doesn't matter if it's a solo IRA. It doesn't matter. It's just putting the money in and leaving it invested for years. Just 20 years, don't even look at it. Just put it in. You know, just do that. Like I have a Roth IRA. I put money in every month, invest it, I'll look away. I don't care what's in that account. It has nothing to do with me, and I don't touch it, right? And you got to avoid behavior that knocks you out of the game, like over leveraging, borrowing way too much money, betting on this one stock to do well or this and that. Like I don't buy individual stocks. I did that when I was trying to day trade, but I just buy ETFs. Nice and simple and easy. ETFs, mutual funds, all that good stuff. I only do ETFs, but yeah, it's all you need. It's just the money's invested and not panic selling. Meaning that if you see the things are going bad, the economy is going bad, this and that, maybe you did lose some money. The last thing you want to do is pull money out. Why are you pulling money out? It's already been proven time and time again. Can things change in the future? Yeah, but more likely than not, it's not. This is America, bro. We're in a capitalist system. Do you think these billionaires and multimillionaires are going to let their money go bad and their businesses go broke? They're not. Let me tell you how. Back then, when the banks over leveraged and they were going bankrupt, do you know what they did? They came together and combined the banks, and the government got involved and they solved the issue. They're not going to let this country crash, period. Because if it crashes, they lose money too. And I'm telling you one thing right now, they're not going to lose money. So I'm not worried. Until they decide they want to leave and they don't care anymore, I ain't worried about nothing because they ain't going to let it crash. They got stake in this country too. There is not crashing. And even if it does crash, it's not going to be for long. It's coming back up. Us humans are resilient. And lifestyle creep is the third thing. It will knock you out of the game. Because you're making 10,000 more dollars doesn't mean you increase your expenses by 10,000. Lifestyle creep eats that margin away. Like keep spending what you're spending when you're making more. And what that does, let me put the mic down a little bit. This is how much you're making first. This is your expenses. When you start making more, it doesn't mean you increase your expenses. What you need to do is keep this down here and keep making more. And you see how that gap is getting bigger? That's called your margin of error, meaning that this is how much you make, but this is how much you need. The farther these are away, the better it is for you because you won't be living from check to check. I want to be living from check to check. So you want that margin of safety to be as wide as it can. That is what you want. And lifestyle creep doesn't help. Doesn't mean you get a new phone, new car, new clothes, this and that. You keep treating yourself until all the money is gone or you eat it up. Don't do that, right? And I actually have it written down here, margin of a safety. It's a phenomenal concept. It's an amazing concept. I first heard of this concept in this book. Amazing. I had to play it back over and over again because the idea margin of safety is just what? Okay, so margin of safety is how much can I afford to lose? So let's say if you're making this much, but you keep your expenses this much for whatever reason. Let's say this new job or the bonus doesn't last or whatever, this and that. Let's say you got a bonus or whatever it is, a new job, and got fired, and you had to go back to something else because you didn't increase your expenses. You could afford to go back down to something that would pay you this much because your expenses won't here. So you have all this margin. And I would hope that within this margin, you were saving and investing and putting money aside. So now, even if you have to fall back down here, it's not even an issue. It's not an issue. And you helped yourself more than anything. Right. So margin of safety. Look that up. All right. So some few applications from this book. First thing you should do is ask yourself what are some money beliefs that you have been taught and believe. Ask yourself if they are opinions or fact. The things that you think about when they come to when it comes to money, are these opinions or are these facts? Ask yourself some questions. So think about it. Second thing is to ask yourself what is your long-term financial goal? Not just something general like wanting to be rich or have financial freedom, but what does that look like for you? And how do you plan to get there? What is the plan you plan to get there? And like I said, I haven't set my goalpost yet, but it is something that I am definitely going to do. Me and my wife, we were going to sit down and figure that out. We're definitely going to do that and sit that out. Yeah, and look, if you're in a relationship, communicate with your partner, bro. Sit down. Family meetings are top tier. They're hard to do. They're hard to set up at first, but when you get in the groove of them things, boy, you get a lot of things done. You get a lot of things done. Family meetings, top tier, worth putting forth the effort and getting that done. Because that's something else that'll just compound over time. Because if you start having successful family meetings with your spouse, it's just going to trickle in when it comes to your kids. So now when you have kids, you guys are going to have family meetings with your kids as well too. So like things are going to be discussed on a monthly or bi-weekly basis, certain problems, this and that. And you're also teaching your kids on how to follow up with things, make sure things are being run well, this and that. Like you're running your household like a smooth oiled system. Just same thing they do at a job, do check-ins. We're doing check-ins. Families write down everything that's important, talk about it, open, transparent conversation gives everybody an opportunity to share what's on their mind, what they think needs to be changed, whatever it is. And you can include all things on that, not just finances. Um, and yeah, and the last thing I got for you is I believe that you should read this book. You should read the book or at least watch a YouTube on it. They have a lot of YouTube reviews on it. You should at least watch YouTube reviews on it and try to apply some of these things in this book. Think about it. Think about um how some of these things relate to you, how these could apply to you in your life. And these are definitely applicable. They're applicable to everybody. Like I said, this book is not about a how, it's not a how to, it's a why and a because type of book. We do this because why we do this, right? So it's very important because it gets behind the psychology of money, which is much more important than the actual like math behind money, right? The winning with personal finance is 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge, 20%, 80% behavior. So that means that if you could change your behaviors, which is tied to psychological things, you will win with money. It really has nothing to do with how much you're really making or all these fancy plans and things you got going on. It's really like, do you understand the behaviors and why you do what you do, and can you change those behaviors if they're not moving you towards your goals, right? And last thing for you is to ask yourself, what kind of financial future do you want, and what are you willing to do to achieve it? What are you doing? What are you willing to do to achieve it? Ask yourself that. All right, so that's it, and thanks for listening. And if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and follow me on my socials. My handle is Rolonsky DeRote on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Until next time, appreciate y'all.